July 17th, 2025 Environmental Advisory Board meeting to order. Just a couple environmental things since we last met. We had a couple stretches of extreme heat with dangerous heat indices. Also, Tropical Storm Chantal came through just to the west of us, and that caused a lot of damage to our neighbors in Chatham, Orange, and Alamance counties, as well as Durham County, with several rivers cresting at record levels, including the Haw, which drains into Jordan Lake, and several of its tributaries. So some exciting but not so great things. So welcome everybody, both to the audience, everybody online, Councilmember Gant, and then also our new members. We're so glad to have you here, as well as John Garrison, who got reappointed. So I'm not going to take back all the nice things I said about you last time, but we're very glad to have you back with us. I think we should start off with just briefly introducing ourselves. If you could just share how long you've been in Apex and what aspects of the environment that you're interested in or have expertise in. And we'll go ahead and start way down at the end with Mark.
Thank you. I'm Mark Schwegel, and I've lived in Apex about a year now, but I've been in the Wake County area, in this general vicinity, for 20 maybe, and between Cary and Holly Springs. Environmentally, worried about invasive species is one of the things that concerns me, because there's a lot of building going up with developers putting in trees they think look nice and things.
Okay.
So I'm Patrick Adams. I've born and raised here in Apex, been here 51 years. I am a developer, so I'm on the board as the developer representative.
My name is Chanling Hu. I just moved to Apex 1 year and a half. I'm so glad to be here today. I'm a new member for the EIB. Yeah, I'm a chemist and a scientist. I'm working at the BAS Corporation. My research focuses on the novel insecticide research and development. So this is the reason my co-worker encouraged me to apply this position, because he told me, as a scientist, you not only serve your company, you serve your community. This is the reason I'm here today. Thank you.
Right.
John Garrison. I've lived in Apex for 31 years, Apex proper. Been in Wake County since 1973. I'm interested in ensuring that we have a proper environment for our future and for our grandchildren. And that's my main purpose for being here.
Okay, great. I am Suzanne Mason. I've lived in Apex for 20 years as of last month. I'm primarily interested in biodiversity and stormwater, and I work professionally as a conservation biologist.
Hi, I'm Jerry Muller. I've been in Apex for about 5 years. My interest is mostly in the air quality. I have a background in chemical engineering, but through my work, I have a great focus on air quality and making sure that Apex tries to stay as clean and pure as possible.
I'm Bill Jensen. I came here in 1996 when Apex was 10,000 people. I served on the town council for 20 years, watching us make a mess of things. But I happily, seriously, that I think we did a decent job. But my main interest is everything, I guess. Everything's intertwined. So my main, I was focused a lot on stormwater management before, and now I'm kind of focused more on energy. So that's kind of my little niche at this point with this board.
Sean Kroll, originally from Massachusetts. I've been here for 10 years. I came in 2015. I'm an environmental engineer. I run a local environmental engineering firm, and my area of expertise is really in soil, groundwater, and air contamination, dealing with contaminated sites. And mostly I'm interested in the responsible development of Apex, but along those lines with soil, groundwater, and air contamination.
Hi, I'm Ann Gary. I'm new to the board. I've been in Apex for almost 8 years, but North Carolina for at least 15-ish. I would say my primary concerns or areas of focus would be tree canopy, habitats, and biodiversity, probably. What I lack in kind of formal expertise, I make up for in passion and a willingness to try and participate, I like to tell myself. And I work at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina in our government markets division. And we have our team anyway, has a very almost hyper-local approach. So I love our state and the people here, and I'm just want to ensure that it's a beautiful place for generations to come.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you to Nora, who has updated the website to reflect the new members as well as our term length. So you can go there if you're uncertain about when your term is ending. All right, so on to the first order of business, and that is approval of minutes from the June 2025 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move they be approved.
John, okay.
Second it.
Oh, Sean, second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, onward to announcements. So we sort of welcomed new members, and I believe I'll hand the floor over to Nora.
Yeah, I just had some good news I wanted to share with you guys. Someone actually emailed me about this, so I didn't know firsthand, but I wanted to pass on the word that a couple weeks ago, Governor Stein signed Senate Bill 391 into law, and it includes two policies, one of which states that the state will use native plants to replant NCDOT rights-of-way where vegetation is removed. Thank you. For outdoor advertising. And then the second policy is that the state will develop a list of native plants to be used in place of non-native species, as well as a plan to remove invasive species from state parks and from highway right-of-ways. And Audubon, North Carolina worked on that bill, and I just thought it was, good to include tonight because we're going back over our native plant resolution that you guys passed a while ago. We're going to make sure that we push that through tonight. So just wanted to share that. And then my next announcement was about our own invasive species removal work days that we're doing. We had one the 28th of June. We had a great turnout. We had 23 volunteers come on Saturday, including Suzanne, so thank you for being there. And we collected 10 yard bags, those big yard waste bags worth of plant material. So another great invasive day. That was at the Apex Community Park, and we have another one tomorrow that we're doing, again at the community park from 10 to 12, and then other dates throughout the summer, and those are at the Apex volunteer portal on our website. So if you're interested in signing up, or friends or family that might be interested, you can send them to that volunteer portal link.
Yes, and I also wanted to mention that thank you to Nora for organizing the craft activity, and Njeri for also coming out on one of the hottest days of the year to help with outreach and celebrate the Pollinator Week evening in the garden. I think it was hot, but there was a good turnout, and Nora counted how many interactions we had.
Yeah, we had 60 interactions, so there was even more people there than that, but 60 is a pretty good number for 5 o'clock on a Thursday, so it was great.
Yes, thank you, and that was a great craft. So Nora organized, the craft was to make insect hotels.
Yep.
And so it was just kind of what was it, coconut fiber?
Yeah, coconut fiber, yep.
Yeah.
And then just wrap it up kind of like a taco around pine cones, pine straw, tied together with some twine, and you can hang it up in your yard and let bugs go in.
It was really engaging to the smaller residents of our neighborhood, or our community rather. Yeah, it was really great. Okay, so onward to the rezoning case. So we have rezoning 25CZ09 Jesse Drive Industrial.
Okay, just scroll down. Yep.
Members of the board, thank y'all for the time tonight. My name is Gray Harrell with Beacon Partners. We're a Charlotte-based company with an office in Raleigh. We specialize mainly in mixed use and industrial development. We have about 18 million square feet across the Carolinas that we manage and operate. Y'all might be familiar with us. We work with the EAB, Planning Commission, and Council recently with Apex Gateway Phase 1 and 2, which is on the NC 751 and 64 corridor. We're happy to report the first phase, hopefully as of tomorrow, will be fully built out and complete and leased up. It consists of about 6 buildings, about 1.2 million square feet fully leased. So we appreciate just Apex in general supporting us and helping us rezone, entitle, and get that leased up. We also just delivered Nightdale Gateway, which is in Nightdale, which won a community award for aesthetics in the Nightdale community. That was about a 400,000 square foot building that is fully leased as well. Just as a quick update on where we are in the process, as I'm sure y'all are aware, we submitted our first rezoning earlier this month. We get first staff comments back on Friday. I think from the pre-application and the neighborhood meeting, we're expecting, I guess, minimal comments and hoping to advance through to go to Planning Commission and Council in the third quarter of this year. This is just kind of a rundown on where the project is. Let me scroll down so we can see it all. We're the red box on the side of the screen. We're right south of the Apex Commerce development that is currently under construction. You can see to the north is mainly zoned the IL. We have a small residential development to the southeast. We are conforming with the 2045 land use map. We work with staff to do a bifurcated rezoning with IL, the light industrial, to the north, and a mixed, a medium density residential, let me scroll down a little bit, to the south. We intentionally restricted the medium density residential to only 2 uses, a greenway, which will conform with Apex's future green use plan, as well as minor utilities. And we have a perennial stream that kind of bifurcates the site along this zoning boundary right here. And our intent and one of our zoning or environmental conditions that we committed to that we think is vital to preserving that buffer is preserving 25% tree canopy, and the bulk of that will be located in that medium density residential district to obviously preserve the tree canopy as well as provide extra buffer around that stream. This is kind of jumped ahead of myself, but this is the next slide, just kind of highlighting where that RCA boundary will be. It will bleed into that light industrial district. This is just kind of conforming with that 2045 land use map. This is as part of the public improvements. We'll extend Jesse Drive across the project frontage, as you can see by this blue line, and we will dedicate and construct a greenway path that we'll work through with staff if the zoning goes smoothly, once we get the site plan and CDs to connect from the Jesse Drive intersection up here south to Gladstone. And I'll highlight the environmental conditions here at the end. We've committed to 14 conditions that we believe have kind of conformed with the EAB guidance that y'all provide. One of which is increasing the stormwater to the 25-year detention. Another major one is the introduction of green stormwater infrastructure. So we committed to a minimum of 2 either bioretention, permeable pavers, or rainwater harvesting via cisterns on the site. And I'll just kind of run through the other 14 quickly, and we can dive in more if you have any questions. But we've committed to installing SCM signage along all stormwater devices, indicating that no fertilizer shall be applied around the areas. As I mentioned, the 25% tree canopy, which is well in excess of the Apex UDO minimum. We're committed to preserving a minimum of that 25% existing canopy. We're committed to replanting any 24-inch trees and greater that we cut down and disturb in our development envelope. I kind of highlighted the green stormwater infrastructure initiatives that we plan to put in place. We will plant only drought-tolerant native species throughout the development. The outdoor lighting shall be shielded in a way that directs light just to the truck courts and the parking fields. The tree clearing in the buffer, because of the greenway that's kind of highlighted on the screen, we did not commit to not disturbing the stream buffers, just to give us the ability to construct that greenway through the buffer system, but there will be no buffer disturbance other than greenway trails or like public roads that need to bisect that buffer. We will provide one publicly accessible waste PET station. We plan to install it either on the Jesse Drive frontage or along the greenway. The EV charging spaces, they've been a huge hit at Apex Gateway. At our latest project, we've noticed that tenants use them. It's a huge amenity, so we're committed to installing those and making so the courts are not a trip hazard, as y'all have outlined in your guidance. But with that, I'm happy to dive into any questions the board may have or go deeper into the project.
Have y'all done a tree count yet?
Yes, sir. We do have a tree survey. It's not, there's like the 24-inch is mainly, as you can kind of see on the screen, it's mainly along this this buffer here, kind of where my thumb is to the south. So that's why we're excited that, you know, we will not be taking down any of the larger mature trees that are in that MD district that we committed to preserving.
So is most of your development going to occur on that light industrial portion?
Yes, ma'am. The only thing we would do in that MD designation, I'll flip back, is just the greenway construction, as well as any minor utilities if we need to connect water through the site to help Apex public, you know, long use plans, we will do so.
Okay, and so there's going to be no homes built in there?
No, ma'am. We have intentionally restricted that.
Okay. What on the left side of that aerial photo, there it looks like there is some kind of path or trail running along the creek. Is that a greenway, or what exactly is that?
Are you referring to?
Yeah, over there.
That it's just judging by the topo online, it's a low area that doesn't have a lot of tree canopy. It's kind of wet and soggy.
No, I know it's a 500-year floodplain, but it looks like there's a trail already in it.
I apologize. That is there is a public sanitary sewer easement that runs north to south that I believe you might be looking at.
Okay, so why wouldn't you put the greenway there instead of going through the stream buffer?
We would be happy to. Just what is on the plan here, excuse me, is what is roughly depicted on Apex's greenway alignment, like future path. So if we could work with staff and align it within a cleared easement, we would happily do that at site plan.
Okay. I would like to recommend that you all do that. That it seems just like an easier path forward with fewer environmental impacts if you've got some semblance of a path already there in a sewer easement, rather than doing a new location trail.
Suzanne, I'd recommend maybe planning speak that a little bit, because I think they often discourage that because of conflicting needs between the sanitary sewer and the greenway. But
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Could it go to the
two
side of
departments
it,
are,
though?
where they say you have your sanitary sewer easement, you know, and that easement is determined by the depth of the sewer. If it's a 20-foot easement, 30-foot easement, 40-foot easement. So even if it goes to the side of it, it's still part of that overlapping easement that the greenway would consist of.
Okay.
So like I said,
Is a parallel easement?
it is a parallel easement that
No,
runs.
is a parallel easement just for the greenway not a possibility?
It would be an overlapping easement,
Not
right?
an overlapping, a parallel but adjacent.
So you would have to clear additional trees to have a parallel easement then. And that easement, if you got a 10-foot greenway, you would have, I think it's the 18 or 20-foot cleared path for the 10-foot proposed greenway.
What is the distance for the projected greenway?
Well, this portion here at Gladstone, I think, has been built and delivered. The total site, just north to south, is about 1,200 linear feet. So I would just approximate that at somewhere around 2,500 linear feet where that green line is, just rough ballpark.
So in the course of building that, are you going to try and avoid any of these large trees that you've identified?
Absolutely. I mean, that would, the alignment, you know, Apex has vertical and horizontal alignment with the design. We would flush that out at site plan and CDs, but yeah, our goal is to impact as little as possible and to put it in a manner that's not gonna obviously deteriorate the environment. So yes, ma'am, we would cross it perpendicular to the stream, avoid any clearing as as we could.
So we're working with the Park and Recs department that you can field verify the alignment of the Greenway Trail, and then that's what I'm saying. You can is once you field verify the alignment of the trail, then you can have it surveyed to allow you to miss the bigger trees, and then as long as you build the greenway into that area and record that easement, and your greenway falls in that easement, then the town is happy with that to miss the larger trees.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the connectivity, but yeah, the new location through an area that sounds like it does have some rather large trees. It's an interesting thing, especially when you do have the road.
And I just
Just
wanted to
to the
reiterate, we did not come up with this alignment. We were just trying to conform with what's on the Apex Future Greenway mapping plan.
Yeah, and it has to remain on your property?
We can only obviously control the property that we control. I mean, we would work with staff if they find a better route that we could accommodate on our property. We would be happy to do so.
Because it kind of looks like, at least from that aerial, that on the south side of the stream, there is a hardwood forest, and then it sort of looks like it goes into more of a pine second growth.
Yes, ma'am.
That seems like that would be a location where there would be fewer larger trees. Now, that wouldn't complete the Greenway project with just your development, but it may avoid the taking out of so many large trees.
And I do know that area was recently rezoned under a PUD, I believe, with the same townhome community that's to the kind of southeast.
So that's sort of accounted for as
Just
RCA?
Well, it's not dedicated as RCA, but just looking at how they allocated the densities, I would assume they have a use for that pine forest. But again, I can't speak to that. That's not us, and we have not seen any plans.
Well, so the perennial stream does continue off to the northeast?
Yes, ma'am. It kind of, I mean, you can sort of see it here, and then it kind of goes, and it's kind of behind the public label here is where that bulb kind of terminates.
So there would be a stream buffer there that
yes,
the Greenway could potentially go in the outer zones of?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would you consider 2 dog stations, one at each end of your Greenway?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. We can definitely make that commitment.
I'd like to say, I still think that it would be a good idea to look at the parallel approach that you were suggesting to see what can be done with staff. Maybe it won't work out, but it seems like that could be a better approach.
Yes, sir. And staff's been great on everything we work with them, so we'll definitely explore how we can either do the parallel or if it can overlap with the existing, we will definitely explore that option.
Yeah, if you can work it with the property owner, that might be a better way for you guys to overall.
Yes, sir.
Length would be less.
I noticed you kept in streets in the no impacts to the buffer. Why is that if you don't expect?
We're obviously at the rezoning stage. We don't expect staff to, you can see there's a stub like street here and here. We expect staff is not gonna want any connectivity through our site. It's just we didn't want to put that in and then pigeonhole staff if there's a public road that needs to be extended.
I would recommend that be removed. What do you all think? So the condition was no clearing or land disturbance be permitted within the riparian buffer except the minimum necessary to install required sewer infrastructure and SCM outlets, and then they have greenway and streets in there. I'm recommending that we remove streets.
Public street connections.
Yeah, public street connections, yeah.
Going back to the parallel greenway thing, if you suggest to run it parallel to the sewer outfall, that means you're automatically going to clear, no matter what's inside that area, a 20-foot swath all the way down there. If you can selectively meander the greenway trail through and around some of the bigger species, trees in there, why wouldn't that be the better way to go?
I don't know, but I think both should be investigated. And
right out of the gate, you're automatically saying in that 20-foot area, you're gonna clear no matter what's in there.
Well, it's, if you look at the aerial photos, there's just less trees in that area already.
It may not work.
Yeah, it may
But
not
I
work,
think it's
but
something that should be investigated to see what the environmental impact is. And I fully understand what you're saying, Patrick, and I agree, I understand. But let's look.
And we'll definitely explore that with staff to see how we can put it in the most least impacted way possible. And we'll also work with staff to strike that public street connection. If they're fine with us striking that, then we will remove that from the commitments.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going from, with the light industrial to a residential thing, I don't think they're gonna ever want that to be connected.
That public street, yes, sir.
I noticed there were a couple, at least in the packet we got, there was the suggested zoning conditions sort of form with a checkoff.
Yes, ma'am.
And then there was the ones you had written out. There didn't appear to, there was a few that didn't make it from one to the other, or?
It was like, for instance, like goal 3, limit tree clearing, stormwater control, SEMs, limit tree clearing, stormwater control measures or infrastructure in either zone of the riparian buffer. So like we could not commit to that commitment because of the Greenway plan in our view, working with staff. So like, that's why we said we were not conforming to that goal, but we did offer, the increased buffer to the south, the 25% tree canopy. So that was.
Right, so I'm saying like it was checked off on the list as yes. And then at the end of our packet, we had just the bulleted list and some that were checked off as yes.
Mm-hmm.
Were not on the bulleted list. So I guess my question is, which one are we supposed to go by?
So the intent was the commitments, the environmental commitments, those 14 that we just ran through were conforming to the ones we checked off. So if we need that, if you feel like something is checked off as a yes, we're not capturing that in the commitments, we will be glad to add better language.
I think one of them was the project shall ensure that 100% of the landscaping shall be native species.
Yes, ma'am. And I guess on that one.
And then no invasive species shall be permitted. No single species of tree or shrub shall constitute more than 20% of the plant material of its type within a single development site. And then the one that was checked off was the project shall install one or more rain gardens, but it did seem like you were trying to capture that with the pervious paver.
Fire retention, yes, ma'am,
Yeah.
that was the intent. And just going back to the other point, commitment number 7, where we said the project shall plant only drought tolerant native plants. I thought that was checking the native box, but if we need to clean up that language, like we only want to put in native plants, so we will, if it needs to be 100% or whatever your recommended language, we will add it.
Okay, yeah, I think the one that checked off, though whoever filled it out did type in 100%.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, all right. I would also like to add that no buffer averaging shall be allowed in zone 3 of the riparian buffers. And are you all putting in stormwater ponds, wet ponds, dry ponds, or is it gonna be a cistern system all the way?
Again, we're very preliminary, but the intention is they will be wet ponds.
Okay.
Are y'all required to conform to 25-year storm events or?
The UDO is 10-year, and then we've increased it to 25.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the board?
I'll touch on clean energy. You checked no on our request for 2 kilowatts per 1,000 square feet. I'm going to recommend that be included as a requirement, or that you commit to that. Typically, it's more like 4 kilowatts per 1,000 square feet. to support a building. So it's really on the lean side of requirements for solar. And I would like to see that committed to. And I've gone through this with other developers, and it seems like there's no real understanding about the value that can be attained with putting in solar. And if you look at the tax credits, there's a 30% tax credit up front. If you use American-made product, that's another 10%. So that's 40% of the cost of the system taken out in the first year, making it quite worthwhile. And then you have depreciation that you can take, short-term depreciation. So that comes into play. So by the time you're done, you can get as much as 60% of the system paid for through tax credits and depreciation with no trouble.
Yes, sir. I mean, that's something we will definitely dive into.
And then add to that, Apex has the best net metering program in the state. And I think it'll continue to have the best one in the state. So it makes it, in terms of the production and use of energy, quite valuable. Now, I ran off a hard copy, and you're welcome to take this, please.
Thank you.
It lists out the opportunities for the 30% tax credit, and that lasts until 2032, I believe. So you've got a number of years that can be applied, and then it decreases a bit after that.
Well, thank you. We definitely need to get smarter on that, so I appreciate that.
And I hope to go, frankly, to the town council meeting when you guys come forward, and others, because I like to see what happens on these.
Yes, sir. We'll look forward to seeing you there in a couple months.
The second one I noticed on this, you checked no for to provide 5% of parking spaces with EV charging spaces. You were mentioning earlier that you were happy with what had been done in the previous developments. I'm kind of surprised that you had it checked off as no.
The only hesitancy, we have engaged Duke to see like how much power we can deliver to the site, and with I can scroll back with the development to our north, it's not online yet. If we committed to a high EV charging station, we were a little concerned we wouldn't have power for the stations in our building. We can definitely explore adding, I don't know if it's 2%, 5%, like whatever that number is, we can explore adding a higher percentage of EV charging stations. We do add, like what we've done at Apex is added a lot of EV ready. So like as we sign tenants, as the demand's there, we put the conduits in place to accommodate that.
Brett, doesn't the council require 5%? I thought they required 5% EV charging stations. Or am I wrong on this one?
Depends on the use. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm troubled too.
It's different from apartments.
Yeah, and that's where I'm hung up. I understand. You might check and make sure.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll. I'll make a note.
And the other part of it is you don't have to provide, the type 4. I think you can, or 3. You go to 2. It's 220 and slower charging.
That's a great
and a
point.
lot less energy wattage requirement.
That's a great. I mean, we have put in the higher ones, and they are substantial energy.
Yeah, if you go to the lower ones, people are going to plug in basically for free, or whatever they're doing there.
For 8 hours.
It won't tax you.
Yes, sir.
Much.
So are you making a recommendation for a specific, or?
I would like to see the 5% that we
Okay.
have listed there.
Okay.
That's really 1 out of 20 spaces. That's
Yes, sir.
not much. Thank you for considering that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'd like to go through and just make sure we have everything straight. So, Nora, would it be possible for you to put up the list, their bulleted list? And then I'd just like to take a quick run through this, what you submitted to us, the form, to make sure that we're in alignment and there's no confusion.
While Nora does that, I'll just provide that the requirement for EV parking for industrial uses would be 3% ready spaces. Ready spaces is 15% of all required spaces, and then the charging spaces would be 3% for the site. So 5 would be 2% more than the UDO currently requires, but you're welcome to make that suggestion.
That can be worked out.
So are you recommending 5?
I recommend 5.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay, all right, so we've got the stormwater one, that's on both. Signage for SCMs. Looks like that's on there. Let's see. Project shall preserve a minimum of 25% of the existing tree canopy. That is on there. To improve energy efficiency, a combination of large and small deciduous shade trees shall be planted on the southern side of any buildings.
That's
Could I interrupt on that just
Okay.
briefly, because depending on the size of the tree, if they get too big, then you run into interference with solar PV. So that
Well,
has to be
this being
taken
an
into account.
probably an industrial use, like warehouse
Yes, ma'am.
architecture.
It's probably high enough.
Yeah.
I was going to ask how many stories these buildings are going to be.
We don't have any architectural design. I mean, if you look at our Apex project, that's typically between 24 and 30 feet is
Okay,
the
so
height.
we're probably good,
Yeah.
at least in my lifetime.
Okay. Let's see. The project shall ensure that 100% of the landscaping shall be native species. That one,
I think that was what I was trying to relay is 7, but I can add that language to 100%.
okay, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah, because 7 is a little bit different. I think the nuance being drought tolerant. So with this one, the 100% native, those could be things that are not necessarily considered drought tolerant.
Yes, ma'am. We will make a separate commitment to memorialize that.
Okay, great. Let's see. Also checked off, no invasive species shall be permitted and no single species of tree or shrub shall constitute more than 20% of the plant material of its type within the development site. I don't think that one's on there.
I will just take that B language verbatim and put it in our text commitments.
Okay, great, thank you. You do have the rain garden ones checked, but I think we've clarified on that that's number 2 on there. And then commits to only planting drought tolerant plants, at least 100% of the plants. Okay, so I do see that the language is duplicated there. 100% of the plants shall be native. So we got that one covered. The project shall install signage adjacent to wooded or natural conditions RCA. Is that one on there? Yes. Okay, so number 8. And then the pet waste stations, we recommended 2.
Yes, ma'am, we'll do
2 of
that.
those. The EV charging spaces, the width of the sidewalk shall not be reduced to less than 5 feet. I believe that's on there. The cords shouldn't be trip hazards. And then we are adding the developer shall provide 5% of all parking spaces as EV spaces, as well as 2
The 2 kilowatts.
2 kilowatts per 1,000 square feet of heated area.
Okay. And do we all also want to recommend formally recommend exploring the placement of the greenway? Okay. Okay. So we're gonna add that too. Okay, so that's what we have.
You had the no buffer averaging. So
Oh, and no buffer averaging. Thank you, Sean. And no buffer averaging.
strike the public street.
Suzanne, for the sake of the minutes, do you want to say the whole phrase of how you want the greenway condition to be?
Yes. The board is recommending that the applicant explore different greenway placement options to minimize the amount of large-sized trees that are impacted. Okay. So no buffer averaging shall be allowed for zone 3 of the riparian buffers. And then the No clearing or land disturbance shall be permitted within the riparian buffer except the minimum necessary to install sewer infrastructure and SCM outlets. The SCM water storage and treatment area shall not be permitted within the riparian buffer, and the sewer shall be designed to minimize impacts to the riparian buffer. Understanding that that may not be possible, but we are just making the recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
For you all to explore and see if that can work out. Okay. Get it all?
I think you got it all. You got it all.
All right. Is there a motion for these recommendations?
So moved.
Okay, Mark, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Bill, any further discussion? Nope. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you
Thank y'all
very
for your
much.
time.
Thank you.
All right. So,
Thank you very much, you guys.
yes, thank you. We have, let's see, new business. Next month is going to be a tree talk. Is that correct?
Yes, so next month, Tree Talk. I wrote some notes, so let me get them up. So now that we have all of our new members, we did a survey at EarthFest, a little background for the new members. That was back in April, like on Earth Day, or around Earth Day. And we did a survey for the citizens to find out what are the top environmental concerns that you have for the town. And tree canopy came out on top. That was the #1 concern. And we hear a lot of very passionate citizens come to town council and talk about tree canopy. So we're going to be diving into some tree canopy work next month. I'm going to give a presentation to talk about the legislation that the town currently has. So what are like ordinances in the UDO, what's in the town code regarding trees, what do the North Carolina general statutes say about trees, and then also what are some of our regional neighbors doing. I'm talking with Wake Forest, some people in Charlotte, even in Wilmington, to see what are their tree ordinances. A lot of them have urban forestry master plans, just to see what's going on in the area. So then the following month in September, hopefully we can have a discussion about any new legislation you guys want to bring up regarding trees, if we want to start new projects or programs to address tree canopy issues. So that's coming up in August, that first presentation. So just put that in your mind, start thinking about tree canopy issues or any legislation that you'd like to suggest we add about trees.
May I add a couple things? Because this board previously suggested a tree nursery. And I'd certainly be interested to know where that sits with the town staff.
That is actually something I'm going to talk about. So Dean Krupa, who I don't know if he was ever actually on TreeCap, but he's just a really passionate citizen that cares about tree canopy, reached out to me and to the Cary Tree Archive folks to try and start an Apex tree archive. And Dean emailed the YMCA board because they owned a piece of land where the Simple Gifts Community Garden is here in town, if you've ever been there. So we were hoping to use some of that land for a tree archive space. And they said no, because they're planning to build on it eventually. So we're looking for new spots. So that's in the works, and if you know of any land or anywhere that might be a potential location, let us know, because we're working on that.
Okay, depending on how big it is, there is a piece of property that was sold to the town in New Hill area for a fairly large park, but there's areas of that are denuded of trees and stuff, which would work for a nursery quite well, I believe.
Okay.
And it's got water there, and I think Marty Stone is aware of it.
Yeah, so it's off of New Hill, over at Phoebe Island Road.
Okay.
To the parcel that Emma Holmes dedicated to the Apex Park Road for the future town park.
Yeah, if you could find out where that's sits in terms of progress.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And the second thing.
Bill, hey, I can tell you that we're starting to master plan that park space, and we've actually added that to land to that. But I suspect that we're going to take up the entire thing with parkland because there's just a huge need for more parks and more facilities. So I mean, there may be spots, but I suspect that every inch will be used for something there.
Yeah, it could be. I was looking at least in an initial nursery, doesn't take up hardly any room because you're growing seedlings. And maybe that's not the spot for that. A nursery could be done in an acre or so.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I just think, to me, yes, we need parkland, but at the same time, this is an opportunity to show the town folks what we are doing in terms of being aggressive at providing tree canopy.
Yeah.
Because that's where it's really at.
I actually think the more likely place would be on Perry Road. There's planned to, or there's been a land swap, and I think we're going to build a facility that's going to be public works and the composting. Yeah, right.
I think that'd be a good place. Yeah.
Either temporarily or permanently. That there may be space there. I think for this kind of thing you're talking about, more likely than the park space, which I think we're gonna plan out all that. So I agree, but I just think that might be a more likely scenario. So.
I'd much rather have it there than a park area if that's available.
Yeah.
If you look at the Google Earth where this is, that's the part, this is the parcel that MI Homes dedicated to Town of Apex, and this is the part that Apex just purchased.
It already has trees on it?
It's full, yeah, it's covered in trees. This right, Apex already owned this piece right here, and this one here, which it's that area there is, I said Apex already owned that there, so. I don't know what the intentions of Apex would keep in the pond with Parks and Rec or.
Yeah, I think they are. The intention was to keep the pond. I'm not sure whether there's a deed restriction on it, because the individual that sold it to the town.
I believe it was a promise to them that we would keep the pond, so
Yeah,
we're going to
think
keep
so
it.
too.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
But what you're talking about is different than a tree archive, though. You were talking about just a place to grow seedlings versus a tree archive, which is where you grow specimens.
Yeah, no, I'm not, yeah, I like specimens, that's for sure, but what I'm talking about is actually a tree nursery.
Okay.
To get them up to 3 or 5 gallon size, like Carrie hands out. I know they were handing out something like 1,000 trees per year, and we were down at more like 140.
But are they getting those from a commercial grower?
I think they are.
Yeah.
I think they are, but it also seems like looking at a nursery and with town staff being able to possibly kind of cross-train in some respects when they're not doing stuff, when they can't do stuff out on the roads or something like that. It doesn't take much to get a nursery set up. It truly doesn't. I mean, I grow stuff in my backyard. My problem is I have a tree canopy and no sunlight. So I'm really kind of stuck.
You just need property to do it.
Yes, just trying to push that.
So you don't even really need, though, like a natural area to grow, I mean, like, to grow nursery trees. You just need, like, tables that drain well. So, like, I'm wondering if out at the, where the pollinator garden is, there's sort of, where they park their trucks and everything, and they're
Oh, yeah.
out there.
Yeah, and I'm not
the
sure
nature
exactly what
park.
you're talking about, but out at the electric facility, there's power lines that run right parallel, which would be good. It's a little trickier because you have to get the water in and all sorts of stuff, but to get a nursery started, at least doing seedlings, and they grow seedlings in seedling containers you can come by with a forklift and move them someplace. But to get it started, because I look at it as, if we don't get started today and we wait 2 years, we've lost 2 years. In those 2 years, you can grow your seedlings up and be on your way. That's all.
I like the idea, but I am a little concerned that you have to have staff to do this, right? Versus, with a commercial grower, that's like their deal.
And that's to a degree. I know Project Pando, you're probably familiar with that. That's done with Leaf and Limb, a company that cuts down trees. I guess they began feeling guilty about that part and are into growing seedlings now. And they do it with their staff. I mean, they do it, I'm not sure there's even a dedicated person there, because a lot of it is setting up an automatic watering system and then saying, we'll see you trees in about 2 years or 5 years. It's not people, if it's set up properly, you don't have to. And I got into this a long time ago when I was actually physically capable. And I had a living Christmas tree nursery that I set up out in California and ran it for a while until I got run out by vandalism, unfortunately.
And that would, I think, still be a thing to consider here too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Depends on where it's set up. You can't set it up out in the boondocks, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I'd just like to find out where that sits. And the second thing is the composting situation that John, I believe, suggested. I'd like to find out if, didn't you suggest the composting a while back, John?
Well, I have mentioned it, yes.
Yeah. I think that's something that the town should probably look at it as a service to the town community. I'm done. Thank you.
So there wasn't an agenda item on here, outreach opportunity, compost education at town events.
Yes, so speaking of compost, since we have heard so much about it, the special events team reached out to me to ask the board. They're starting their own group of volunteers that are only doing composting. So now at town events, at different special events, Compost Now and our compost volunteers are going to be at every single event. So they asked if EAB wants to attend at least a few of those events and do an outreach booth. They said, honestly, they loved what we did at EarthFest, and we could do like recycling again or some kind of compost outreach education just to go along with those events and the compost work that'll be going on for those. I think the first one they're going to do is the Latino Arts Festival, and I don't know when that is, but then they also mentioned Touch a Truck, which is on October 7th, and that's 4:30 to 7. So just keep that in mind. You can think about it. We can talk about it next month, but they offered the board to come to these events now.
I think that's great. And, you know, Compost Now is an industrial composter, correct?
Yeah, yes.
So I do think there is an opportunity to maybe talk about the difference between home composting and the industrial composting and in the difference between them.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So now let's discuss and vote on the native plant resolution. So as you all saw, that was in your packet. Just a little background on this. Thank you to John for initially composing the resolution and for updating it now. So this came out of former Governor Cooper's Executive Order 305, which was an order to protect and restore North Carolina's critical natural and working lands. That has not been rescinded by Governor Stein, so it's good. And the intent was for a native plant policy to apply to landscaping properties that the town owns, or perhaps the executive order was state-funded projects, so it could be town-funded projects, or where there's a town funding component, or projects that town departments do. The resolution was originally passed by the previous board in April 2024, but then it sort of stalled out somewhere along the way. So then it was recommended to us that we discuss and vote on it again. And hopefully then it will make it to council for their consideration. So does anybody have any questions or thoughts on the resolution? All right. So there's no questions or discussion.
Suzanne, as part of this, you may want to like pick a council, like a date that you or the staff present this to council to make sure there's like a structured timeline for it happening.
I think the staff is directed to do it within 90 days.
Okay, I haven't seen it, so I just want to make sure that's on there.
I think that's what the requirement.
Yeah, so the new Resident Advisory Board administrative policy requires staff send it to the town clerk's office within 7 business days, and then the town clerk is directed to get it on the council's agenda within the next 30 days.
Okay, that's part of our new policy that structure's in there. Good. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so is there a motion to adopt the resolution of the Apex Environmental Advisory Board? Let's see, resolution of the Apex Environmental Advisory Board adopting the request to modify the unified. Wanted to note before we wrap up for tonight, I don't know if you all saw in All in Apex that Plant the Peak has a survey out about what trees you'd like to see offered. So there's a link on the Plant the Peak webpage on the town's website. And Bruce is still working on helping us with language for the RCA signs. If you remember at the last meeting, we had some discussion about like what does an enforceable condition look like. So Bruce is working on that for us.
Yes, we'll have an update for you very shortly. Sorry I didn't have one for you today.
All right, does anybody else have any other items for open discussion? Okay. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Bill?
I'll second.
All right, John? Any discussion about that?
Nope.
All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, we are adjourned, and our next meeting is August 21st, so I look forward to seeing you all then.